Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with your girl Audrey Codner from ACG Math Tutoring. Hopefully you guys are having a lovely day. Hopefully you actually paid a little bit of remembrance of those that have worked hard and fought and gave up their lives for us to have this freedom so we can talk on this app. And maybe other things as well. So, as promised, we are actually going to be looking at a little bit of geometry tonight. We're going to be looking at area and perimeter. So, as we look at what we're doing, we're going to look at, I want to say, 4 different shapes tonight. All right, so one of the shapes is a parallelogram. Okay, so a parallelogram, if we may, this is what a parallelogram looks like. It kind of looks like a square with a slant, right? So we basically have 2 sets of parallel sides. I know that the opposite angles of a parallelogram are basically 180. All right, and basically if I drew a diagonal along right here, I will get like 2 triangles. So that means the sum of my angles is going to equal 360 degrees. Okay, because a triangle equals 180. 180 plus 180 gives me 360. So we're looking at the different formulas. Now for a parallelogram, a trapezoid, a triangle, we're just basically going to add up the sides if we want to find the perimeter. So the perimeter, we're basically looking at around the sides. So when we're looking at the area, and a lot of people always say, well, I can't remember what's what. So for a parallelogram, also for a rectangle, and you could say for a square, but square usually deals with the squares. Raised to the second power. Parallelogram and rectangles are the same when it comes to area. You're basically doing your base times your height. I know when we were learning it length times width. Length times width, base times height, very similar, okay? So instead of you saying, okay, for a parallelogram is base times height, and for a rectangle is length times width, it's basically the same thing. You're taking 2 sides and you're multiplying, right? So now for the trapezoid, let me see if I got a picture of it, and I do. I just have to pull it. Here we go. And we're going to actually do a couple of these examples. So this is an example of a trapezoid, okay? So there's 2 different types, and this one is an isosceles trapezoid. Isosceles meaning that we have 2 sides that are exactly the same length. That's 5, that's 5. And with the trapezoid, we have 2 bases. We have a base 1, which is usually the one at the top, and base 2, which is the one at the bottom. So the formula for a trapezoid is we're going to add these 2 bases, we're going to divide by 2, and multiply by the height. Okay, so it's you're adding the bases, dividing by 2, which will give me my height. So that's what we have here in orange. Last one, triangle. Okay, doesn't matter what type of triangle. It could be isosceles, it could be right, it could be scalene. Okay, so for a triangle is your base times your height divided by 2. So it's almost like if you think of a rectangle. Let me show you this picture. So if we think of like a rectangle, and if I wanted to, I can make a diagonal line going from one corner to the next. I'll let this be the sacrificial lamb here. So like I said earlier, this is going to give you 2 triangles. Okay, you got 1 triangle here and you have 1 triangle here. I can't assume that it's a right triangle. I would like to, since it's a rectangle, but right now I can't make any kind of assumptions at this point in time. All right. But in order for you to find the area of the triangle, you know that the area of a rectangle is your base times height. But in order to get that triangle, I would have to take half of it. If I take half of it away, now I got the triangle in itself. So if I remember, a triangle is your base times height, just like a rectangle, but I'll have to take half of it, so I'm going to divide by 2. Okay? Hey! And then lastly, we're going to be working on circles. So instead of saying a perimeter, we should be saying circumference. Now, circumference can come one of 2 ways, depending on what they give you. So if they give you the radius, you can go with the 2 pi r. If they give you the diameter, you can just simply say pi d. D meaning diameter, r meaning radius. The reason why we can do this, if I take a look at this lovely circle, straight across from one end to the circle to the other, and it goes through the center of the circle, that's called my diameter. The radius, on the other hand, starts at the center of the circle and it goes to another point on the circle. So the radius is half the length of the diameter. So if they give you the diameter, yeah, you can divide by 2 to get the radius, but look at the formula. Then you will have to multiply that 2 all over again. So it's too much jumping around. So all you have to do when they give you the diameter, just multiply by your representation of pi. If they say keep it in terms of pi, you just have to write your diameter and the pi together. I'll show you in a moment. But if they give you the radius, you want to multiply it by 2 and then multiply it by pi. All right. Wonderful. So let's go through a couple examples so we can take this step by step. So today is the 26th. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to look at the area and the perimeter of our parallelogram. So if we recall, we know that 2 sides are going to be parallel. Okay, we're assuming, since we're going to do area, we're assuming that they're parallel and they're going to be congruent. So that means this side over here will be 35. And this side up top will be 35. So if we're trying to find the perimeter, all we have to do is just add up all the sides. So if we know that 35 plus 35 will give me 70, that means this 35 and this 35 gives me 70. So 70 plus 70, that will give us 140. And if they don't give us the units, we just write the word units. Okay. Well, thank you. It's a little sloppy right now, but I'll straighten it out. But now we want to find the area. So the area is your base times your height. So in this case, our base is 35 and our height is 30. Okay, so all we have to do is multiply 35 and 30 and we will get our solution. So we have, with the 3, that's 105, but adding the 0, 1,050. Hey, Danny. Okay, so 1,050 units or squared units. Notice the difference, okay? When I'm just doing the perimeter, I'm just writing the units because I'm just adding all my sides up. But when I'm doing the area, I have to square my units. So this is something that you can look at. If they tell you, tell me the area of whatever the figure is, the first place that I would look at is I would go to the answer choices and I would see which one is giving me units squared. If 2 out of the 4 gives me units squared, do process of elimination. Once you get it down to that, then you look, okay, I need to do the area, so that means I got to multiply the base times the height. And you look at the numbers, and you're like, okay, well, I got 3 and 3, so I know it's going to be more than 900 because I got to incorporate the 5s and the 0. So look at answer choices that way. So that's just another way you can do process elimination, so you don't have to worry so much about doing a whole lot of calculations. And they do a lot of that with the ASVAB test. Because if they know that, okay, you know the unit of measure, that's half the game. Sometimes they'll just put 1 that says unit squared, and that'll be your answer. Okay. Hello, Michael. You're feeling what? All right. So now, let me unzoom a little bit, because I might take a couple pages tonight. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to try to use the previous one as a reference. See if you can tell me what my area and the perimeter for the next one is. Taping it down like it's about to go somewhere or something. Stay on the page. You know, I don't know. Do you know? Because I don't. I mean, I know some things, but I don't know everything. I am not all-knowing. My name is not God. Put my fingers at the top of the page. Yeah, so that sounds like something that we might... Well, let me slide this over a little bit, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, Miss Reed, you're saying 10 on the other side? Yes. Yeah, we're assuming that'll be 10 and this will be 5. True. Yep, and 5 on the top. Yep. Okay. Hey, Pog. So you're saying that perimeter is 30 and the area is 40? Okay, do we all agree or do we disagree? Okay, user, you're saying the area is 80. Okay. Hello, Renee. Thanks for the follow. Cheryl, thanks for the follow. Okay. Janice, you're saying the perimeter is 30 and the area is 80. Okay. Oh. For those that are new, welcome on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm being like extra cautious. Yeah, usually after a nice little holiday break, some people just don't know how to act. You know what I'm saying? Mad fillet. What we got? Could we find the area by finding the area of the dotted area and multiply it by 4? I mean, you can. You can have fun with that. First time. All right. Well, welcome in. Okay. But the 10 area is 8. But the 10 area is 8. Okay. So we have the perimeter is 30. Hello, Roughnut. How are you? All right. Okay, so AJ is saying the perimeter is 20. Wow, I'm getting some various answers with this one. Okay. All right, well, let's take a look. So for the area, we need to add everything up. Okay, so we're adding up just the sides, not the height, just the sides. Okay, so we have 10 and 5, that's 15. 10 and 5, that's 15. 15 plus 15, that will give me 30. Okay, so our perimeter is 30 units. Because all we're doing is adding up the sides. Okay. Now, the area, James, geez, 240? Okay. Now, for the area, did I say perimeter? Yeah, so the perimeter is going to be 30. Now, the area, we're multiplying the base, which is 5, times the height. Now, when it comes to parallelograms, we have this perpendicular bisector, because that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, it always starts from top to bottom. So that means this will be our base. Okay, not the 10, the bottom. Okay, so we have our base, which is 5, and our height, which is 8. Because 10 can't be our base, because that means 8 is not our height. Because the height would go this way. And that's not what's happening. Okay, so we actually have 5 times 8, which gives us 40. So 40 units squared, or squared units. Okay, all right, are we okay now? All right. Okay, good. All right, let's try. Let's try one more before we go to our next one, because I want to make sure that you got it before we move on. Okay, what's my area? What's my perimeter? Okay. Okay, so you're saying 10? Okay. Salma. Salma. Okay, and we have our area. Hey, C4, how are you? And then Miss Tropics, 2 times 1. Okay, M Lady is saying the perimeter is 10. Good. All right, and then user 8, yeah, all that. Saying the perimeter is 10 as well. Okay. Yep. All you have to do is add it up. Okay. All right, so from here to here is 2. From here to here is 2. From here to here is 3. That means from here to here is 3. Okay. So if we are a little stuck with the rules of parallelograms, here we go in my handy dandy notebook. Okay, so opposite angles are equal. I think I said it was congruent. What am I doing? Yeah. Opposite sides are parallel. Their diagonals bisect each other, and it has no axis of symmetry. So that means if I try to cut it in half like this, this side is not going to match that side. And even if I try to cut it right in the middle that way, that top side is not going to be the same as that bottom side because of the shift. Okay? So, knowing that little bits of information, let's see if we can figure it out. So that's why this side's is 2 and that one's 2. This is 3 and that's 3. We are not counting the 1. The 1 is my height. One that's different this time is that they put the height outside of the parallelogram. And that's exactly the same. Okay? So all we have to do is just add 2 plus 3. That gives me 5. 3 plus 2. That gives me 5. So my perimeter is 5 plus 5, which gives me 10. So now for the area, it's your base times your height. And this is what a lot of you guys said, the A, or the area, is not going to be 6 because my height is this 1. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's what they put there. So we're doing our base of 2 and supposedly our height of 1. And you're probably saying, well, Audrey, it doesn't look like 1. See, that's the one thing about geometry that makes everyone crazy. You can't use your eyes for geometry. Can't do it. Okay? You always got to prove what's going on. So our area is 2 units squared, or squared units. Okay? Hello, Michael. There you go, be white. Good job. All right. Okay. Questions with the parallelogram. Okay. Pretty straightforward when it comes to some things. So regardless if your height is inside the parallelogram or outside the parallelogram, this is still your height. All right. Okay. Exactly. Not drawn to scale. And you see those verbiage almost on every assessment. SAT, ACT, even state assessments. When it comes to geometry, they will always say not drawn to scale because they just wanted to use the numbers so they get the calculations that they want. Now, that's parallelogram. So let's get with our trap, meaning trapezoid. So with the trapezoid, remember, there's 2 bases and there's a height. Yeah, that was crazy. Easy. Getting all aggressive with taping. Like, who knew that taping was a sport? Anyway. I know, I need to get Scotch tape. Get endorsed by Scotch tape. That would be hilarious. So I use it so much. Okay. So now with the trapezoid. if we're going to follow the formulas, so we have two bases, okay? We have our height, which is 2. And this, as I mentioned before, is an isosceles trapezoid because our two sides are congruent. So if we want to find the perimeter, all we're doing is adding the 4, the 5, the 10, and the 5. What do we get for our perimeter? Oh, be white, y units squared. Because anytime you're doing area, you're looking at two sides, 2 dimensions. You're looking at your base and you're looking at your height. And you're taking anything that fills in other than volume, because volume is more of like, more like 3-dimensional. Okay, so like this cylinder shape here. This is if I wanted to know how many mints can fill this container, that means I'm looking at volume, which is to the 3rd power. That's your cubic. But since I'm not including the depth of this, I'm just looking at, probably not this is a good example. Let's say I'm looking at this. So I'm not looking at the thickness. I'm just looking at my base and my height. Okay. So anytime you want to know what the area is of this, we always have to use squared units. Okay. Okay. All right. So for this one, what do we have for the perimeter? We have 24. I'm seeing 24, 24. Hey, Brittany. 24. Hello. Is it Mary? Mary Bren? Okay, Miss Reed, 24. Good. Anthony, you're saying the area is 14. Janice, you're saying 24. C4, 28. Okay. So, we have 5 plus 5 gives me 10, plus 10 gives me 20, plus 5 gives me 24. So this will be 24 units because it's the perimeter. It's just the sides. But the area, this is where I'm going to take it over here. We have our bases. So remember, it's your base 1 plus your base 2 divided by 2 times your height. Okay, that's how you're going to find area. So if my base 1 is 4, my base 2 is 10, divided by 2, and my height is also 2. This is one thing you can do. Yes, we're going to add the 4 and the 10 to give us the 14. But then we have 2 divided by 2. Doesn't that give me 1? So that will give us an area of 14 squared units. Okay, so once you compare that 4 plus 10 to give us a 14, then you would have 14 times 2, but then divided by 2. So since you have the same number in the numerator as well in the denominator, they can cancel out to give you 1. And then 14 times 1 will just give us 14. Oops. Yep. The area is 14. Thank you, Larry. Good. Let's find in the average length of bases. Yep. Job, Michael. Right, good. How did you get the 2 for the height? Well, right here for the graph. I know the graph was kind of tilted to the side. This part right here, that's your height. Yeah, it was hiding. Who's that girl? All right. Yeah, I know. It was over to the side. No problem. No apologies. I was the one that had the paper onto the side. I should be apologizing to you. Okay. Not a problem. All right, let's try another one. Let's try to put it right here. Let's see if I can put it in a way that everybody can see it. All right, let's see if this, okay. All right, what is my area and what is my perimeter? Someone asked about why you 2 times 10? Why I 2 times 10? Can you explain a little bit more, Warsama? So the area of the trapezoid. Okay, obviously it didn't translate very well to us. So add, you got 57. Okay, B White, you got the area is 50. Zach got the perimeter as 50. Oh, why did I multiply the 2 and the 10? Well, because the 2, if you multiply the 2 and the 10, you could. Like if I add my bases, let me switch over. If I add my bases, I got 14. Because you have to add the 2 bases. One base was 4, one base was 10. That gives me my 14. Okay. If I wanted to, I could do 14 times 2, which gives me 28. But then I had to divide that 28 by 2, which got me right back to my 14. Okay. When you're doing trapezoid, the formula for trapezoid is you add the bases, divide by 2, and multiply the height. If you're just doing 2 and 10, that means you're looking at it as a parallelogram. This is not a parallelogram. Okay? All right, slight but important differences. Okay, so add perimeter, yes. The area of the trapezoid is 105. The perimeter is 50. Okay. Hey, Reed. I didn't see the other numbers wrong. Okay. No problem. I know. Probably my hand was in the way. Okay. So, do you see it now, Warsama? I think that's how you pronounce your name. Okay. Yeah, so trapezoid and parallelogram, 2 different formulas for area. Okay. Parallelogram and rectangles are the same, base times height. Trapezoid, you have to add the 2 bases, divide by 2, and multiply by the height. Yeah, and I don't battle. If anybody's trying to battle, that's not my forte. All right. Okay, so I'm seeing some good answers. Slight discrepancy on a couple, just slight. So here we go. So we got our perimeter. So our perimeter is 9 plus 13 plus 12. One second. Let me get rid of this person for a second. Okay. So we have that 9 plus 13 plus 12 plus 16. I knew I was missing something. All right. So when you add them all up, that does give you 50. So that's 50 units. But since we're looking at the area, so remember the area, you add your two bases. So that's your 9 plus your 12. That's going to be dividing by 2, and you multiply it by the height, which is 10. Okay. All right. So, here we go. It's summer break. Okay, you forgot the M for summer. So, we have our 10 and our 2. We could divide them, okay? If you want to add this stuff together and then do the distributive property, you can do that as well. But make it easy for yourselves. All right, so we got 21. And if I want, I can simplify by the 10 and the 2. This will give me a 5. This will give me a 1. So now you got 21 times 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So my area is going to be 105 squared units. Okay. Aw, why'd you lose your aura? Okay, try and do it in your head. All right. Well, thank you, B. Back to my olden days of cursive. All right. Well, this is like basic geometry. So this is like more so like middle school, maybe even a little bit younger. But this keeps coming up in assessments. Okay, so some of these things, like if I'm finding the area, these will be like 1 or 2 point questions on the GED. Or they might be, there'll be a couple of these on the AccuPlacer. Okay, or ASVAB. Okay. How did I get the 5 again? Sure. So here I have 10 and I have 2. So since this 9 plus 12 is being multiplied by the 10, all I did was divide the 10 and the 2 to get my 5. Okay. Why are you stressing out? What's wrong? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, not a problem. I know, sometimes like as soon as you write and then you look up, you're like, wait, where did that come from? How'd she do that? Not a problem. Okay, how are you feeling about the trapezoids? You keep messing up, it's all right. Will it be in what kind of class? Is that algebra class? Yes. Like they use, sometimes they'll take some of these and they'll put expressions, meaning this could be like x plus 9 and this could be x plus 12 or something like that. And you would have to do some solving to find x. Yes. Yeah, you'll see this. The one thing about math, it always spirals. It's never a one and done type of thing. You will always see it come back. Okay. Janice, it's okay. Breathe. She's like, you're always telling me to breathe. And I'm like, look, because the more stress you get, the more mistakes you're going to make. All you do is you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you continue on. Okay? All right, remember. You don't know this? Oh, that's fine. No worries. Because here's my thing. Things that used to be in Algebra 2 is now found in pre-algebra nowadays. Everything has gotten faster. If you haven't noticed that, or maybe you don't have kids, or maybe you do have nieces and nephews, ask to see their stuff. And I'm telling you, you're going to look at it, you're like, wait, you're learning this in 5th grade? And that used to be like something that they would learn in high school. So look, that's why when you guys ask me like, what grade is this in? I can't give you a definite answer because it keeps changing it every time I turn around. All righty then. Okay, let's continue on. But this time, we're going to be looking at triangles. Let me tape this bad boy in here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Can we do one with X? Let me see if I have room towards the end. I will give it a try. Okay. Okay, so perimeter, you're just adding up all the sides. And area, it depends. If we're looking at the triangle, your area is going to be your base times height, but it's going to be half. Okay, remember what I said. The triangle, if you know the formula for a rectangle. Okay, I know it's really lonky, but work with me. If you know the perimeter of a rectangle, if you divide that by 2, you will get the area of a triangle. Okay, area of a rectangle is basically base times height. And in order for you to find out what the triangle is, you're going to take half of the rectangle away. So you just divide by 2. That's how you find the area of a triangle. So our base is 8. Our height is 6. And then we're dividing by 2. Let me show you a little trick. So let me set it up. So you have your base, which is 8, times your height, which is 6. Yes, you can multiply 8 and 6 and get 48, and then divide that 48 by 2. Of course you could. Or you could reduce. 8 divided by 2, that gives me 4. So this 2 is now a 1. What's left is 4 times 6. And 4 times 6 is 24 units. Or squared units. Sometimes we get so tunnel vision by, oh, you gotta multiply and then you 48 and then you're like, oh, what's 48 divided by 2? Whereas it's so easy to simplify. Now, would you get the same answer if I simplified the 6 and 2 instead? Well, 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Then I would have 8 times 3. That also gives me 24. Okay, yes, thank you, Ronrico. Thank you. Okay, what happened to the 10? We're not doing anything with the 10 with area. But we're going to do something with the 10 to find the perimeter. Because per rim, we're going to add up the sides. All right? So we have 6 plus 8 plus 10. 6 plus 8 is 14 plus 10 is 24. So this time perimeter is not going to be unit square. It's just going to be units. Okay, there you go, Michael. And believe it or not, is it Melody? It is. Because sometimes people just like to throw lingo and all this extra stuff, and you're like, dude, this is my first time dealing with this. Break it down. That's another thing I'm noticing. We're getting so far away from just talk to me instead of let me use all this math jargon. So you'll be like, what is that? It's like almost a way to kind of confuse people. Silliness. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I like to teach things very simple. Okay. Good. Of course. Love to help you guys. For B or H, no. I mean, technically, as long as it's one of the two, okay, yes. Okay. If I put the 6 here and the 8 over there, but mathematically, is it going to even out? Yes, it is. Okay. All right. Yes, I am a teacher, but I'm not in the classroom anymore. So I decided to leave the classroom about 5 years ago. I'm finishing up on my 5th year of tutoring. So I decided to be an online math tutor. And now, basically, God is telling me that people need assistance. So I need to get off of my butt and come and assist. So now I'm able to tutor students all around the world, actually. I tutored a young man in Nairobi, Kenya. I tutored a young lady in Cairo, Egypt. I'm in Alaska. I'm starting to get popular in Alaska, which is hilarious to me. California, Florida. Actually, I'm going to be tutoring a young lady in California tomorrow. So I'm all over the place. I'm currently in Maryland. So, but you never know. Never know where God takes us. All right. Do I tutor college students? Yes, I do. Especially the intermediate math courses, I do. Statistics is not my jam, but if you do need somebody to help you with statistics, I do know a couple people. I'm waiting for them to respond back to this other lady's request as well. Okay? But I'm here. It's awesome. Good. All right, good. Yeah, I'm a type of person that if I'm too slow for you guys, there's plenty other people that are doing math, but this is the rate that I do. I like to make sure people are okay. Try to get nice calm music in the background. Get us nice and chilled and relaxed. Because when you're relaxed, you're ready to receive information. You cannot receive information in a state of stress. And I feel like you guys have been in a state of stress since you were your first day of first grade when it comes to math, right? Okay. I could, Zach, but I'm not sure for tonight. But I will be doing a lot for my course that I'm actually doing a flash sale on. And remember, 12 midnight is coming up, guys. If you want to get a part of this flash sale, okay, I am selling a course. So this summer, I'm doing a course for GED, ASVAB, and the TEAS test. Whoop, so you can see. All right, and right now, I'm selling it for $97. If you really and truly want to do it, reach out to me, okay? Even if you're just like, oh, but money's really, really tight. If you are in desperate need and you're like, I need this, I'm going to be teaching all the way from the very beginning. I'm talking fractions and decimals and percentages and scientific notation and doing some word problems mixed in with slope and equation of the line and parallel lines and system of equations and radicals, meaning square roots, breaking them down, simplifying, exponents. Also, I think I said system of equations, doing it multiple ways, and factoring. That was what I wanted to say. Factoring into quadratic equations, a little bit of geometry, a little bit of probability, like everything that is usually found in these assessments, as well as the AccuPlacer. Because I looked and I noticed that a lot of the information is in all of these exams. There are some things that they just need to tweak. Probably like the way that the questions are formulated, but the math is still exactly the same. So if you guys want to get involved with that, it starts June the 9th. I'm doing a combination of 2 sets, an afternoon session on Mondays and Wednesdays and an evening session on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So make sure you message me tonight because the price is going to go up to $147 at 12 midnight. Okay? There's my plug. All right. Definitely. You text me on TikTok? I'll check again. Okay. Okay, you need that desperately? Let's go. All right, so problem solving. Yes, that's huge. And especially if, not to say anyone's not English as a second language, but sometimes it all depends on how we were raised and all depends on how much attention we got into class. That sometimes those word problems are hard for us because there's certain terms that they use that we don't use every day, like guy wire. How often do you guys know what a guy wire is? Okay. Do you even know what a guy wire is? You can say Y for yes and N for no. What is it? Do you know what a guy wire is? No. And I got a yes. I got a no. Got a no. Got a no. No's. Tons of no's. Thank you for your honesty. Got a yes. Got a no. Okay. Now, let me do a quick sketch of what a guy wire is. Because it all depends on where you live, right? So say, here's some grass. I know. Are you ready for this masterpiece? All right. So back in the day, we have all these lovely trees, which our cities keep making all these trees, right? There's a tree. And then there's like a silver ring around the tree and it's being anchored to the ground. This is a guy wire. Okay? And this is the reason why I do not like standardized tests. You can quote me on it. I got it recorded. I don't like standardized tests because everyone doesn't know certain terminology. There'll be word problems that will talk about an attic. Well, if you lived in an apartment building from the beginning of your life until you sat down to take that test, you're not knowing what an attic is. Or you don't know what a guy wire is. Yeah. And it's always on the test to try to help you figure out Pythagorean's theorem. Okay? That's why they use guy wire. So now you know what a guy wire is, and I bet you probably pass the test because you know what the terminology is. They don't give you a definition what a guy wire is. So this is how they weed us out. This is why I don't like standardized tests. Okay, now I'm going to get off my soapbox. So now you learned something in addition to math. You learned what a guy wire is. Okay. Where problems are skate parks related. Yeah. How have I ever gone to a... Well, you're probably doing quadratics then. Because they always do skate parks for quadratics. And I'm like, dude, I don't skate. I don't know. I mean, I've seen videos, but for me to be like, oh yeah, let me draw my own ramp. Like, I don't know. Yes, there's also guy wires on power and telephone poles. But if you live in Washington, D.C., you will never see that. They don't have telephone poles. Their wires are run underground. Right? You see how this is? Did I just blow your mind? I thought it was guy wire. It could be guide wire. Either way, a lot of people don't. They're shooting out here. Yeah. That's just DC's on this topic. Yes, good job. Because it's needed. It's so needed. But here's another thing. Teachers have to want to use it. how can we get, like, because a lot of teachers, when they get those extra things, if it's not something that is useful in their curriculum that they've been teaching forever, a lot of teachers will just be like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Anywho, so we need area and perimeter. Okay. Don't let this trip you up. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit more because then you'll be able to see some of the nuances of the triangle. Okay, we need to figure out the perimeter and the area. Okay. All right, so we need the perimeter and the area. Okay, wild guess, the perimeter of 15, area is 9. You're saying the area is 6. Okay, so we have our perimeter that is 13. Okay, I'm seeing that a lot. I'm seeing an area of 24. Okay, I'm seeing an area of 14. I'm seeing areas of 6. Okay, seeing an area of 9. Okay, so perimeter is 13. How did you get 14 or 24? Well, we're about to find out soon. Okay, so 3 times 14 divided by 2. Okay, we're thinking. I like it. KBB, saying area is 6 and perimeter is 13. Okay, let's take a look. So if we're doing the perimeter, okay, so this 3 is my height. So we're not looking at this part. So we're looking at our 4 plus our 4 plus our 5. Okay. I know it doesn't look like a 4 and a 4, not drawn to scale probably. But if I have my 4 plus 4, that gives me 8. 8 and 5, that does give me my 13. So this is my 13 units. All right, so that's my 13 units. Now, the area, let me unzoom a little bit. So the area, remember, it's your base times your height divided by 2. Okay, so our base is going to still be our 4. Our height is out here, which is 3. And it's going to be divided by 2. So we could multiply 4 and 3 and divide by 2. Or we can just simply say 4 divided by 2. That will give me a 2. And this will give me a 1. And then 2 times 3, that will give me my 6. And that will be my 6 units, or squared units. Okay. Okay, how are we feeling now? Why is it always divided by 2? Because a triangle is half of a rectangle. I'm not sure if you were here for that part. Okay, so if I use this top one, since this bottom was a little slanted, if I can, a triangle can easily come out of one rectangle. So a rectangle, the area of a rectangle is base times height. But if I'm taking half of the rectangle away, that's why you're dividing by 2. Hey, bundles. Okay, so how did we get 6 again? Okay, no problem, Karen. So we have our base, which is 4. Okay, we have our height, which is 3. So our base 4, our height 3, divided by 2. This will be our area. So what we could do is 4 divided by 2. That gives me 2. And then 2 times 3 will give me my 6. 20 years ago. Hey! How are you? Did you end up going live or no? Because I've been so busy trying to get this course thing underway. Thank you. Oh, you added instead of multiplied? Okay, I gotcha. All right. So let's try one more and then we'll get ourselves. And I'm going to see if I can slide this over so I can maximize my space. Yeah, Jen, you see me. I'm old school in it, girl. Nothing wrong with tape and pencils and paper. All right, so let me get out of the way and let me zoom in so you guys can see. Oh, the Baltimore festivities have begun. Police and fire departments, yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. I'll see if I can sign on tomorrow. Okay, Reed, you're saying the perimeter is 66. Okay. What will be my area? Okay, Janice is agreeing with 66. Okay, Pog is saying 216. Okay, the area is 216. David saying the area is 216. Reed, you're saying the area is 252. Brittany's saying it's 216. Gotcha. I hoped so. Okay, pull my lens back. What you need? Okay, so Jan's saying it's 216. Rico saying it's 216. Hello, Lily. How are you? Haven't seen you for a bit. All right. Let's take a gander. Okay, so for our perimeter, all we have to do is add 21 plus 21 and 24. So that means right here we have an isosceles triangle. Two of the sides are exactly the same. So 21 and 21, that's 42. 42 and 24, that is 66. So our perimeter is going to be 66. But then let's take a look at our area. So remember, for the area, it's your base times your height divided by 2. Okay, our base, the whole thing of the triangle, is 24. Our height, which is 18. So you can take this one of two ways. You could divide the 24 into 2 to get 12 and then multiply 12 and 18. Or you can divide the 18 and 2 to get 9 and multiply 24 times 9. Okay. Either way, you are going to get 216 squared units. Okay. The reason why I want you to practice doing it by hand is because when you take the GED, the Accuplacer, the ASVAB, you cannot use a calculator, right? You can't use a calculator. I mean, soon enough that might change, because before with the SATs, you would have to bring your own calculator. Now they have you use Desmos. So they basically want you to bring almost like nothing. You just bring yourself, clothed, hopefully. And then you just take the test and then get out, right? So that's the one thing, even though I want you to practice up on, you want to practice up on that. Okay? So it's 108. What's 108? What's 108? For half. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's the only thing we had to divide by 2. Yep. Okay. All right. So we're good with triangles? All right. So we did parallelograms. We did trapezoids. We did triangles. And I'm only going to use one lovely example for rectangle. And I'm going to put that right underneath. And then we're just going to finish up with the cycle. All right. So if I have regular little rectangle, this should be quick and dirty. What is my perimeter? And what is my area? Sorry, I'm going to be in the way for a moment. Okay, one more moment. Okay, what is my perimeter and what is my area? And this is a regular rectangle. Okay, so Raven's saying perimeter is 56 and area is 90. Okay, Janice is saying my perimeter is 56. Okay, the area is 180. Okay, area is 180. Okay, so we got Raven saying 180 squared yards. Zach is saying the perimeter is 56. So SO is saying 180 yards square. Okay. Janice is saying or 90. Don't forget units. Yes. Yes, do not forget the units. Okay. So we got like a little mixture, just a little bit. All right. What we're definitely in agreement is that the area. Okay, the area is your base times your height. Okay, so our base was 18. Our height was 10. So that gives us 180. This time they gave us yards, so square yardage. See how they kind of tripped it up on us? All right, so that was our area. But finding our perimeter, okay? So if this is 18, and one thing is knowing what is the rules for rectangles. I think I have that here. Okay, so the things that we need to know about rectangles. We know that their opposite angles are equal, the opposite sides are parallel, as diagonals bisect each other, the diagonals are equal and has two axis of symmetries. So if the opposite angles are equal, basically all the angles are equal because they're like 90 degrees. So that means whatever this side is, this side is. So this is going to be 18 yards. Whatever this side is, this side is. So this will be 10 yards. Oops. All right, so for us to get that perimeter, we're just adding it all up, which gives us our 56 yards. Okay. Yes, I can. Sorry. You can tell I'm like fading, but here we go. Well, hello, Cheryl. How are you? Yep, and you can do that C4. You can add up the two sides and then multiply by 2. Yep. The math in years. I started sewing and realized it's math, right? You're like, oh, let me just like, wait, what is this? Then the hairs in the back of your neck started tingling. You're like, your spidey senses were like, no, this is danger. All right. Okay, couple more. So now let's talk about this cycle. All right, so just gonna cut right here and right here. So we have a diameter. So instead of perimeter, we're calling it the circumference. Now, since they're giving us the diameter, the circumference is your pi times your diameter. So all we have to do is really just put our diameter and put pi next to it. This is the exact answer. And since they got the units, it'll just be inches. Okay, so this is the exact answer. If they want an approximation, that's when you do the waves, they'll tell you, we want you to take 22 times 3.14. Okay. If they want an approximation, and plus, when you're taking the exams, you need to take a look at your answer choices. So anytime they give you a circle, take a look, read the question. If it says, what is the circumference? That means, and put it as the exact, look at the answer choices. If you see pi in your answer, boom, they just want the exact answer. But if you start seeing decimals, that means they want you to take this 22 and multiply it by 3.14. Now, do I see that happening often? No. Okay? But let's get into the practice of multiplying without a calculator, right? You like apple pie? You know what? I don't think no, I do take that back. I did have apple pie before. It was quite delicious. So, I like to put like 3.14 times 22. This is telling me I'm going to have 2 decimal places to deal with. And here, I do not have any decimal places to deal with. So now, let's work it. 2 times 4 gives me 8. 2 times 1 gives me 2. Now I'm basically multiplying this last 2 to everything in the top portion. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. And I know nowadays they do all kinds of grouping and everything. Go with what you know. So now 2 times 4, that gives me 8. And I'm putting it in the tens column because the 2 is in the tens place. So 2 times 1 gives me 2. 2 times 3 gives me 6. And then we're adding them together. Bring down the 8. Some people like to put a 0 here. Have fun with that. That's fine, because 0 is just a placeholder. 2 plus 8 gives me 10, so I have my 0. Carry the 1. 6 plus 2 gives me 8, plus 1 gives me 9. And then I just bring down the 6. But now I gotta look at my placeholders. This has 2 decimal places, so I'm starting here at the end. And I'm counting over 1, 2. So my official answer will be 69.08. And this will be inches. And I'm going to use my approximate sign. Okay, good. Excellent. Now, finding our area. Okay, I'm going to move it over for a bit. So finding our area. So the formula for area, I'll use red. Okay, so if I'm finding area, that's pi r squared. So I need to square my radius. But remember, they didn't give us a radius. They gave us a diameter. But luckily, we know that a radius is half the diameter. All right? So what would be my radius? I do SAT tutoring. Yes, good. Half the D, which is 11. Good. Rex, good. C4, good. Janice, good. Melody, good. Reed, good. Michael, good. Zach, good. Bundles, good. I think I skipped somebody. 1 second. Zach, good. I was like, I feel like I skipped someone. All right. All right. I know, just bring it the old way and just, get it there. Big Mama, how are you? Good. Raven, good. Bird, good. All right, so this is what we're doing. We have our pi. We have our radius, which is 11. Now, this is when all things go crazy. 11 squared. 11 squared. That is not 22. We're not even going to beat around the bush right now. Thank you, C4. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Zach. Okay, I know a lot of us have that urge to just, it's 11 times 2. No. Thank you, Reed. Because the 2 is telling you that you need to multiply its base to itself 2 times. So this means 11 times 11. 11 times 11, that's a perfect square. So that gives me 121 pi. This is my exact answer. Now, if they want the approximation, we got to take our 121 and multiply it by 3.14. So 121, there's no decimal place, so we don't have to worry about that. 0.14 or 3.14, that's 2 decimal places. So now we're going to multiply. 4 times 1 gives me 4. 4 times 2 gives me 8. 4 times 1 gives me 4. I'm basically multiplying this 4 to everything in that first unit. There we go. Now, I'm going to the ones. So if you want to put a 0 here as a placeholder, you can do that. But then it's 1 times 1, that gives me 1. 1 times 2, that gives me 2. And 1 times 1 again, that gives me 1. Now we're going to the thousandths, so we need to go underneath this. So now it's 3 times 1, now it's going underneath the 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3 times 1 gives me 3. And all we have to do is add them together. 4 comes down. Beautiful thing, because 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 1, not to insult your intelligence, it's 9. Okay, we have 4 times 2 times 3. I like to say 3 times 2 gives me 5 plus 4 gives me 9. 6 plus 1 gives me 7. And then I bring down the 3. So now I have 2 decimal places. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2. So my area, if we need to be approximately, is 379.94, or 379 and 94 hundredths. Typing crazy. Yes. And what units are we working on here? So this will be squared inches, or inches squared. Okay. Okay. All right, I see what you were saying. All right. Well, thank you, Zach. Old school, no more. I know. But see, here's the thing. Once you do the first, and this is what a lot of people don't do, and I don't know why. Once you do your first, the 4 times the 1, you know that this 4 is going to be one of your digits. Look at your answer choices and see which one gives you an ending of 4. If there's only one, that's your answer. Bubble it, click it, move on. Okay? Remember, when you're dealing with time tests, they're not testing you like you are being tested in the classroom. They're testing like, all right, do you know it? Yes or no? Okay, we don't care about your dissertation. We don't care about your answer sheet or your rough sketch of everything. We don't care. Did you pick A, B, C, or D? That's all they care about, okay? So we have to kind of change our mindset when we're taking these exams. One, don't stare at the clock because time's going to move on regardless of what you do, okay? But when you do it, you solve a problem, you look at it, okay, all right, if I multiply 4, okay, which one gives me an answer of 4? Oh, that one, boom, that's my answer, move on. Because then you can use that extra time for maybe some word problems to help break those things down, okay? All right. Well, hello, creation. How are you? That's the way I've learned math. No calculator. Yes. But see, that's another thing. A lot of cultures are different because there's a lot of people I know. I used to have a few students that were international students, and they were just like, why is everyone using a calculator for 4 times 7? I'm like, I know. Because it's like once you're so used to that, that's the way it is. All right. Well, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it, guys. All right. So that's basically it. I mean, really, that's all it is. But anyway, someone did, I think it was Michael that made a good suggestion. I think it was. Like, let me show you how to navigate. I'm just gonna show my stuff real quick. That sounded wonderful. I was like, what? What kind of lab is this? Okay, so we're taking a little trip. Hey, field trip. How you doing? All right. So when you come, stop. When you get to my platform, okay, a lot of people are just saying like, Audrey, I want to sign up for your course, but I can't get in. All right. Yes, it was you, Michael. Thank you. So when you go and you look up Audrey Codner, you go to my platform, you'll see I'm live. And then you see ACG Math Tutoring. You click on that bad boy. And every time for TikTok, anytime you're about to go outside of TikTok, it always gives you this warning. And a lot of people just stop here. They're like, oh my God, this is dangerous. I'm about to blow up. No, you're not about to blow up, okay? Because if you say open anyway, all right, and you're like, oh, I'm risking my life. And I know you don't really know me, so I get it. It takes you straight to my website, okay? So this is actually my website. I did it on Canva, just in case anybody's ever thinking about starting their own business. You don't need no freaking Wix. Not yet, unless you're selling stuff. Wix is usually e-commerce. It's very good for like when you have a lot of products and you're selling stuff. Do that. Use Canva. It's free. Or it comes with the pro account. But since I still have my education account, I was able to get there. So now, after I scroll down for a little bit, I come to this page. It says one to pass, the GED, ASVAB, all that, right? And then close to the end, it says learn more. So when you click on learn more, it will take you to this information bed. So when you come down here, okay, you can read a little bit. This is how I'm here to help you. A little bit of signage. Okay, this is what it's not. So you have a good idea. And then it gives you these buttons. Okay, so flash sale buttons will soon turn into price is $147 once it turns midnight. And we have exactly, we have exactly like 2 hours and now 2 minutes before that closes. So this is basically what you get. Okay, so remember, I'm starting all the way to fractions, decimals, all the way up to factoring. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see each other twice a week for 12 weeks. So I'm aiming for the end of August. All right. Replays are definitely going to be available because I know this is a last minute thing. And you're probably like, oh, well, I didn't know and I got a vacation coming up. Well, you'll still get the replays. You'll still get copies of my notes and you'll be able to follow along. So there'll be no excuse, okay? I will be giving homework assignments really short, nothing more than 10 problems. If anything, sometimes it might be 3 or 4. I'm going to respect your time because I know it's your summer and some of you guys are still working. So then we have our test taking strategies. So with the test taking strategies, it's just like what I've said for you, process elimination, okay? Where can we save our time so we can invest it into some of the word problems? We can invest it into maybe some of the harder questions, especially for GED. Remember, every question is not exactly the same. There's going to be some 4-point questions, especially slope, anything dealing with equation of a line, anything dealing with volume, especially of a cylinder. That's in there, okay? If we can get a few of those 4-point questions and then a lot of the arithmetic questions, you will pass the GED, okay? Trust me. All right, real-time question and answer. The first time that we meet, we're getting right to it, Okay, we're working on some processing, working on some integers. But the next time we meet from here on, we're going to have a Q&A session in the beginning, and then we're going to go into our instructional piece. So I'm giving you a chance to say, you know what, I tried this homework, I'm still stuck on this piece. So I really want to make sure that you're okay before we move on to the next bit. And I always give us like basically half an hour, okay? The class is going to be small, okay? So I'm shooting at the absolute largest 10 people. So all this, you're seeing like 100 and some odd people on the live right now, that won't be happening, okay? I'm really trying to minimize it so it gives you the opportunity to speak clearly and to speak freely about how you're feeling, okay? What will be the hours of the session? So on Mondays and Wednesdays, because I had to do it this way, Mondays and Wednesdays is going to be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Tuesdays and Thursday will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Because I still have kids that I'm tutoring, so I have to work around that. Okay, what is the difference between the TikTok live classes and the boot camp? Well, my live classes, I just generally pick whatever I want to pick and I just throw it out there and then we just do problems. Whereas this is really targeted to help people with their GED and the assessments. So I'm going in a alignment, just like a curriculum. So it's almost not like I'm trying to jam it down people's throats. I'm really trying to like help you decipher which process would be best. Okay. Aw. Why? What's your schedule? Okay. I'll do what I can to understand these lives. Okay. Well, Zach, I'll talk to you in a moment because I have a feeling that we could probably figure something out. Okay? Because you need to pass the GED. I'm sorry. It is now part of my quest. So sorry. So as I mentioned, you will get printable copies of the notes. And again, it's no pressure, no judgment. We're there to break things down. We're there to get concepts. Okay. Right? Yeah. So it might be something. Still, Zach and Melody, definitely message me. If not, I will just hunt you down and then I'll message you. Because there are always things that can happen. It's something called flexibility because I might not have too many students and I might be able to fit everything in. All right. So this is just basically it. This is just to reiterate what I just said up top. Now, if you want to get your own notebook, we can get our own notebook for this. And that's like an upgrade because I am going to design the notebook and just have that out. So if you want a notebook for it, that's fine. If you want to do just a regular notebook and just take notes on your own, that's fine as well. Okay, we don't have to be too fancy. Okay, I'm more concerned about at the end of this course, I want you signed up for the next whatever test. Be it the GED, be it the Accuplacer, be it the ASVAB, like probably a couple weeks before the session is about to close up, I want you to register for the next test. That's the goal. Okay, so we can be all fancy and schmancy and I can print out a cute little completion certificate, which I'm going to give it to you anyway. But that's something that you can print up on any printer. I want you to basically get your goal. Okay, I want that. All right, good. So I'm serious. I want you guys to achieve. I want you guys to grow. I want you to expand. I want this thing called math not to be the thing that stops you for achieving your greatness. Does that make sense? All right. So that's how you get in. All right. So again, you got ACG Math Tutoring. You open it anyway. I am not trying to steal your information. Okay, I think that makes it easier that you actually see that I'm doing that. Once you get to this part starting June the 9th, you can click on Learn More. and then it will take you to this little bit of information piece, and you pick which one you want. The flash sale, the 97, okay, the 147, I'm just going to give you like a booklet of all of my notes so you can keep it, or heck, you might be able to sell it. I mean, it's your notes, and if someone else is taking the test, oh no, that's how I think. I think outside the box. Any opportunities to put a little extra cash in your pocket, that's fine. So you can do all that, and I think that is it. Okay, let me see if I can come back in here so I can see your questions. Sorry, I gotta go back into it. Okay, here we go. Yep, less than 2 hours before the flash sale ends. But definitely, if this is something that you really want to do, if you're just like, well, I don't know, I need to pass this ASVAB. I'm telling you, Zach, go ahead, message me. We will figure something out. Same thing, Melody, because you never know. You and Melody might have the same schedule, and I might have to do something for just you two. Hey, I'll do it. Telling you, God's telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do. Who am I to argue with the Lord? Who am I to argue with the Lord? I'm not trying to die like today. Okay. All right. So we got all of that. Okay. You can only make Mondays. Now, here's another thing that if you haven't calculated, whatever I do on Monday is exactly the same thing I'm going to do on Tuesday. So, like, if you can't make Wednesday, but you can make Thursday, you're learning the same stuff. So think that over, okay? Or if anything, message me anyway. We'll figure something out. We will figure something out. But I definitely want you guys to take advantage of this flash sale because I'm going to be truthful. Really, this whole entire course is like close to $400. And I'm like really, because you guys, and maybe not just you in particular, but TikTok has really been treating me very well, especially in the past few months, when I started taking this whole thing of doing math problems seriously and showing you guys my notebooks, because I actually designed these lovely little notebooks. And again, God told me to design it. And there's a whole story with that, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But it's all, 100 pages. But the one thing I like about it is my factor sheet. I use this a lot with my tutoring students. Like if they don't understand the multiplication tables or their factors, I have this. And most factor sheets that's online right now only goes up to 100. Mine goes all the way up to 200. Because this book is really designed for older students. Like I wanted to do it for 7th grade all the way up to adults. And then all your rules, because sometimes people can't remember the rules and regulations. So all your rules for adding, subtracting is in here. Also the order of operations, the properties of exponents, linear and quadratic equations are in here as well. And then this you can also get off of my website as well, because I have my own electronic bookstore, because I can't sell on TikTok Shop. I don't know. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong. I have no idea. But for some reason, I can't get in there, right? We'll figure it out. All right, so area of the sector, arc length. This is something that you're going to see. The formulas for volume. The formulas for surface area. Then you'll have the area and perimeter. So all those formulas that we just did. Okay, here's circumference, pi d or 2 pi r. Okay, all of those are listed here. As well as now we're starting to get into advanced stuff. So we have Pythagorean's theorem. And then we have our SOHCAHTOA. Let me see if I can angle that a little bit more. Okay, the trig identities, which is usually seen inside a trig later on in geometry, but mostly in the trigs curriculum. And then the unit circle, which that you'll see in like in pre-calculus or late algebra 2, depending on what level of math you have. And then I always put some brain breaks in the back. A little bit of puzzles, something just to kind of relieve your brain to help you refocus so you can get right back to it. Okay, 100 pages. You have grid on one side, you have dot on the other side, and I am working on 2 different forms of books, and that should be out for the fall. So 3 different covers, same interior. So if you are interested in order books, you can order a book as well. But this is just basically, you came across for a reason. I'm telling you, God's hilarious. God definitely has a sense of humor. Do you have linear algebra? I don't. I really don't. Oh, 40K. Yay. Oh my goodness. Wait. That's the most I've ever had. You guys have been tapping like fiends. Yes. Really nice. Well, thank you. Thank you. And it's really productive because our kids, they're not taught how to write down notes, especially in math. They're always given packets, which I see is very easy to do, except for when the copy machine is broken. And that makes us all kinds of angry. But it kind of gives you that section for you to write your formulas. And if you ever have any steps, like say, for example, here, we were doing completing the square. So if you look of any of the steps, you got a section for the steps, and then you have a section for the formula, and you can find that information rather quickly. Then I like to have the mood tracker. This is great for in the classroom or even homeschooling. That how did you feel before the lesson, how did you feel during the lesson, and how did you feel after the lesson? So you can kind of like do some kind of mental check-in. This has saved, and I remember one student I had in the classroom, she told me that this saved her life. So I'm always using it. Always using it. I've lost way too many students, and I'll be damned if I lose another one. Okay, I will work myself to the bone to make sure everyone is okay. Okay. All right, good. All right, till your thumb falls off. Okay, all right. So if you need it, you can order it. It's there. Just go to the website, just like I showed you. Instead of, you can go order the class. But here's my thing. I'm going to get off here so you guys can start placing your orders. And if it's to the point, message me. If you're just like, Audrey, I need to talk to you. Let's talk, okay? Because I want all this stuff because some people might be able to. I did reach out to a couple other people to see if they can sponsor some students. We'll see, because the other sponsorships are filled. They went rather quickly. So right now we have a total of 5 people, 5 or 6. That one, I'm not sure. I have to double check to see if she really actually filled her stuff in. Because I love when people say, yeah, I'm going to join. And then you go and you're like, where's your stuff? Oh. So, all right. So please message me if you know of anyone else that can benefit from this course. I'm telling you, have them, pass it over, just like everything else on here. If everybody's so quick to buy shapewear shorts, let's get quick to buy some education so we can start owning our own companies and we can make our own shapewear shorts. That's just how I feel. All right. Okay, cool. All right, everyone. Well, I want you to have a lovely evening. Please be safe because, it's close to the witching hour and people probably been drinking or doing other things for a while all day today. And please check in with your older neighbors, especially if they're veterans, just to see if they're okay. Regardless how old or how young, just check on them, You never know. You might save a life today. All right? All right, have a good night, and I'll be checking for my messages. If I don't see any messages, I'm going to hunt you down. All right, have a good night, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the tapping. Oh my gosh, 47? You're spoiling me. Yes, I'm definitely going to go right to my DMs right now. All right. Have a good night. You can stop tapping now. This is good. We're good. Stop. All right. Have a good night. Bye now.